I'm back. Welcome back, friends. Happy Monday. I know I said it was going to be 2 weeks. It feels like it was closer to 3. I forgot about the fact that there was a Thanksgiving stuffed in there. Interesting thing. I hope you all had, if you're into that sort of thing, you live in a part of the world, mainly my part of the world, where you celebrate Thanksgiving. I sure hope it was a good one. But an interesting thing, I spent a lot of time away from my family, and I'd get back for Thanksgivings a good percentage of the time, but there were years that, I didn't get away, and I was okay with that. But I'll tell you, it's been nice. I've appreciated the fact, and I think I appreciate it more now than I would have then, the fact that I've got at least a good chunk of my family in close proximity, and we can spend holidays together. It's nice. So a couple of things right off the bat. At long last, you may have noticed this, maybe you didn't. The wide-foot leader cages are finally back in stock. I'll put a link down in the description of the video if you want to check those out. Man, it seems like those were out of stock for a really long time. I think he had to find a new manufacturer. But they're still made in the U.S., and, they'll carry your big old jar of water. The second thing is I didn't do, I never really do Black Friday stuff, and I thought about compiling some lists, and, it just seems kind of hacky. But I did compile some of the things that I think would make good gifts, and I kind of put them all together in a category, and I'll put the link to that down in the description as well if you want to, check that out if you're looking for some gift ideas. So let's talk about this hardtack. I finally got it together. I've posted some pictures. I got a really interesting comment on Instagram about my choice of handlebar and, how I felt about using that bar versus drop bars, because the bike was obviously designed around drop bars, and the commenter was a little hesitant to do that because of James' design, and I came up with what I thought was a really pretty good response, which was James may have designed this bike, but you bought it. It doesn't belong to him anymore. And this goes for any bike. This whole idea of you've got a Rivendell and what would Grant do? Who cares? It's your bike. And I think that's the thing that kind of gets lost occasionally. James designed this bike, but now it's yours. So do what you want with it. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, switch it back. It's really kind of as simple as that. The Albatross bars, it's been a while since I've had Albas on a bike, and they are just as delightful as I remember. But let's talk about the build. So a good chunk of these parts came off of the Bridge Club. So crank and bottom bracket. The one thing I will tell you, if you have White Industries cranks and you ever decide to replace that colored self-extracting cap, those things have a tendency to get seized in there. And boy, I played hell trying to get those things out. And I had the right tool. You've got to have the red Park pin spanner. SPA 2, I think, is the part number for that. So I got that out. The Hope pedals I've been hanging on to for ages, just looking for an excuse to try them out. The GX rear derailleur that was the original rear derailleur off the Bridge Club those blue Growtac Equal brakes that I really wanted to spend some more time with. Thompson seat post and saddle off the Bridge Club along with the Erlen rack. And then White Industries headset. I know I said I was going to use those Diacomp brake levers, but they just didn't feel right to me, so the pawls were on the Bridge Club. And a shifter on top of the bar, quite honestly, because I don't have any more left bar and shifters. I should have, but if I think about all the bikes that I sold in the last, let's say 4 or 5 years, it's like every one of those had an upside down left shifter on the right side. So that's where all my left shifters went. So I had a right and I had a thumbie. Could have used here's the thing. You're saying to yourself, possibly, Chris, you've got a bike shop. You've got parts all over the place. You could use whatever you want. True to a point. I really thought about using one of the Rivendell Silver 2 shifters because I've got, a handful of those. But Rivendell must be out of them because it's like every other day I get an order. So then I have to make, the decision. It's like, do I want to take one of these out of inventory and potentially lose a sale? Or do I just want to use what I've got? So in that respect, I'm not much different than anybody else. It's just that, in a lot of cases, the parts that I tend to amass can be pretty nice. So then James and crew built 2 sets of wheels for me. They're Rolici, I think. Rolici, I don't know. Rims and, kind of a no-name hub. Bitex, I think he called it, which, they were all right for him, so I figured they were going to be all right for me. And just some kind of no-name rotors. Those Growtac Equal brakes are so easy to set up. So easy. But I've got 2 sets of wheels, 700, and I'm running the, I think, Jupiter Ridge, like 700 by 47, rounded, knobby tire. And then a set of 650s, which have some Race King 27.5 650B by 2.2. Would have liked to have gone a little wider on the 650 tires, but again, I had the Race Kings and I've had them forever. They may have had A1 Cyclery price tags on them. They were getting up there in years, so I thought I've got them, I may as well use them. And that's it. And I've only ridden it around the parking lot, so I'm not going to give you I can't give you the real lowdown on how I feel about it, but I can tell you what my first blush responses were, which is very neutral handling so far. I actually need to put a longer stem on it. But very neutral handling, and even though the bottom bracket is higher than, say, a Bridge Club, I didn't notice it when I got on the bike. If I had been riding a Surly, like my Trucker or the Bridge Club for a long time, and then I got on something like a Troll or an Ogre, I noticed that difference in bottom bracket height right away. Didn't notice it on this bike. So, yeah. Looking forward to, it sounds like Picayune Strand is dried out, which means Fakahatchee's probably dried out. So I'm looking forward to getting it out there, and I'll take both sets of wheels, and because it's a pretty easy swap between the two, and then we can kind of go from there. But so far, pretty pumped. Did for my first kind of organized ride last week. Naples Pathways, which is the advocacy organization for Collier County, I guess. They do 2 fundraisers a year for this big Paradise Coast Trail that they're working on, and so my brother, sister-in-law, and I signed up to do this ride, and the organizer asked me, when she found out I signed up, she asked me if I wanted to be a ride leader, which I said, no, thank you, no. But if you've ever done one of these rides, you know, they had a 62-mile route, a 40, a 20, a 10, and a 5. And we did the 20. And we were in they broke it up by, you know, how fast do you think you're going to ride, and we were in the slowest of those groups. And if you've ever done one of these rides, you know, if you're doing a 62-mile ride, you can get away with having one ride leader, even a 40, I would say, because those people are riding a lot, and there's a group of them that all ride together. They can probably take care of themselves. A 20-mile route with a 12 to 15 mile an hour pace, you got to have at least 2, and ideally 3. One at the front, one at the back, and one in the middle, because things just get spread out pretty quickly. Well, we had one ride leader, and it became pretty clear pretty early on that we needed more than one. So I did what I have done many, many times over the years, which is I just sat at the front and rode a steady pace for 20 miles. And it was hot and it was windy, and I gotta tell you, it's the hardest 20 mile. I was knackered when that thing was done. I mean, I took a 2-hour nap that afternoon. I was like, you know, what the hell? But it was hot and windy. And I guess maybe I'm not 100% acclimated to 88, 89 degrees with high humidity. Again, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And I hope you didn't miss me too much. No, I do. I hope you missed me a lot. And I hope something good happens to you today.